Have you ever felt completely trapped in a relationship, as if you are walking on eggshells inside your own life? It is one of the most exhausting, confusing places a person can find themselves. You aren't just dealing with someone who is selfish or difficult to get along with. You are dealing with a master manipulator. A narcissist is a highly strategic, ruthless individual who views every single interaction as a game they absolutely must win. They do not operate on logic, fairness, or mutual respect. Instead, they carefully study your behavior, mapping out your emotional triggers so they can use them against you later. They will twist your words, rewrite history, and make you doubt your own sanity just to maintain an upper hand. Over time, this constant psychological warfare takes a massive toll on your well-being. It is a deliberate, systematic draining of your emotional reserves. Day by day, they chip away at your confidence until you are left feeling entirely helpless, stuck, and isolated. They want you to believe that you have zero control, that you are completely dependent on their approval, and that there is no way out of the web they have spun around you. They design the situation to make you feel powerless because your powerlessness is exactly where they derive their strength. But here is the truth they are terrified you will discover. You do have control, and you possess far more power than they want you to realize. If you are ready to stop being the target, strip away their influence, and fiercely protect your sanity, you have to stop playing by their rules. You need to learn how to outsmart them at their own psychological game, starting with the very first step. 1. Heal your own vulnerabilities. To truly defeat a narcissist, you have to understand exactly how they chose you in the first place. Narcissists do not strike at random, and they do not waste their time on people they cannot influence. They act like emotional predators, quietly observing you to find an opening. They wait patiently until you are at your lowest point, perhaps after a difficult breakup, a stressful career shift, or a period of intense loneliness. During these moments of vulnerability, they actively hunt for your deepest, hidden insecurities. Whether it is a fear of rejection, a need for external validation, or an old childhood wound of not feeling good enough, the narcissist spots it instantly. They then weaponize these insecurities, using them as anchors to keep you emotionally hooked and dependent on them for comfort. This is why trying to argue, fight, or negotiate with a narcissist never works. You are trying to fix an external problem when the real battle is happening inside your own mind. The ultimate, most devastating way to outsmart a narcissist is to completely withdraw your attention from them and focus it entirely on your own recovery. Think of your insecurities as open windows in a house. As long as those windows are unlatched, the narcissist can slide right inside and disrupt your peace whenever they choose. Healing yourself means walking through that house and locking every single window from the inside. When you commit to healing your core wounds, processing your past trauma, and building an unshakable sense of self-worth, the dynamic shifts entirely. You stop looking to outside sources, especially toxic ones, to validate your value. You begin to recognize their manipulative tactics the exact second they happen. And instead of reacting with hurt or anger, you view them with absolute indifference. By addressing your internal vulnerabilities, you transform your mind from an easy target into a massive psychological fortress. You become completely unmanipulatable. Once those core wounds are healed, there is absolutely nothing left for the narcissist to grab onto, and their power over you vanishes completely. 2. Mirror their behavior. A narcissist thrives entirely on your emotional chaos. Your pain, your frustration, your tears, and your explosive anger are the exact fuel they need to keep going. They will deliberately and calculatedly push your absolute deepest buttons just to watch you break down, lose your cool, or erupt in rage. The moment you react with intense emotion, they win. They use your reaction to label you as the unstable, crazy one, effectively shifting the blame away from their own toxic actions. It is a trap designed to make you look like the villain while they play the innocent victim. But you can completely shatter this dynamic by refusing to give them the emotional satisfaction they are starving for. Instead of feeding their ego with a chaotic reaction, you reflect their exact energy and behavior right back at them like a cold, unyielding mirror. When they treat you with icy detachment, silent treatment, or unpredictable, erratic energy, don't beg for their attention or demand an explanation. Match them step for step. If they become distant and cold, you become completely distant and cold. If they give you short, indifferent answers, give them the exact same indifference in return. By mimicking their behavior, you completely flip the script and throw them off balance. Narcissists are deeply fragile individuals who expect you to constantly chase them, fix things, or react with distress. When you mirror their toxic dysfunction back at them, you strip away their control and force them to stand face to face with the ugly reality of their own behavior. It leaves them confused, paralyzed, and totally powerless, because their tactics only work if you choose to play the victim. 3. Cut contact completely. Let's be completely honest. Walking away from a relationship, especially one with someone you once cared deeply about, is incredibly hard. It takes an immense amount of courage to decide that enough is enough. However, the biggest mistake people make when trying to escape a narcissist is leaving the door just a tiny bit cracked open. You might think that blocking them on one app but leaving your email open, or answering the occasional innocent text just to be polite, is harmless. It isn't. To a toxic, obsessive manipulator, a cracked door is an open invitation. If you maintain even a microscopic line of communication, you are handing them a lifeline to slide right back into your world, rewrite reality, and pull you back into the exact same cycle of abuse. Narcissists do not accept closure, and they do not respect boundaries. They view any remaining connection as a sign that they still own a piece of your attention. If you want to protect your peace, your sanity, and your future, you cannot afford to be polite or hesitant. You have to cut the cord entirely, aggressively, and without a single shred of guilt. This means going absolute zero contact. You block their phone number, you block every single one of their social media accounts, you block their friends or family members who try to spy on you for them, and you filter their emails straight to the trash folder. You must completely close the chapter and treat them as if they no longer exist in your reality. Slamming the door shut and locking it tight is the only way to build a safe space where you can finally heal, breathe, and rebuild your life without their toxic noise suffocating you. 4. Deploy the gray rock method. While cutting contact completely is always the ideal choice, there are times in life where it is simply impossible. If you share children with a narcissist, work in the exact same office, or have legal ties that bind you together, you cannot just block them and walk away. In these highly difficult situations, you have to use a powerful psychological defense system known as the gray rock method. The concept is incredibly simple, yet devastatingly effective. You must consciously transform yourself into the most boring, uninteresting, unreactive object in their entire environment. Think about a gray rock sitting on the ground outside. It has no energy, no bright colors, and absolutely nothing interesting about it, so you walk right past it without a second thought. That is exactly who you need to become whenever you are forced to interact with a narcissist. You strip away all flavor, all emotion, and all passion from your personality until they have absolutely nothing to feed on. To execute this perfectly, you have to change the way you view and respond to their communication. Treat every text message, email, or spoken word from them exactly like a piece of annoying email spam. When spam lands in your inbox, you don't get angry. You don't write a long, emotional paragraph defending yourself, and you don't let it ruin your day. You just recognize it as junk and ignore it. When the narcissist throws insults, asks intrusive questions, or tries to spark drama, respond with flat, monotone, one-word answers. Say, okay, yes, no, or sure. Never elaborate, never explain your reasoning, and never let your facial expressions or body language show that they have upset you. If the messages they send are so toxic and filled with venom that they trigger your anxiety just by looking at them, take a step back and protect yourself. Ask a trusted friend, a family member, or a legal professional to read their messages for you, strip out all the insults and emotional garbage, and give you only the necessary logistical facts. This creates a massive protective buffer zone between you and their toxicity, allowing you to maintain absolute emotional distance, total mental clarity, and complete control over your peace of mind. 5. Agree with their insults. Narcissists are deeply insecure individuals who survive entirely on a sense of false superiority, and they love nothing more than using public or private humiliation to keep you feeling small. They will deliberately target the things you care about most, viciously insulting your skills as a parent, mocking your career achievements, criticizing your appearance, or demeaning your character. Their entire goal in doing this is to provoke a fierce, defensive reaction from you. They want you to get upset, start crying, or launch into a desperate, frantic explanation to prove them wrong. The moment you enter that argument, you have handed them all the power because you are treating their ridiculous opinion as something worthy of debate. But you can completely shatter their entire strategy by using a counterintuitive technique that catches them totally off guard. You simply agree with their insults. The next time a narcissist hurls a toxic accusation or a cutting insult your way, instead of fighting back or defending your honor, look them dead in the eye and casually say, "You're right," or "I agree." This may sound completely backward, but it is the ultimate form of psychological jujitsu. By offering absolutely zero resistance, you completely deflate their attack and take the wind right out of their sails. Narcissists are completely addicted to conflict. They walk into the room fully loaded and expecting a massive, emotional, explosive fight. When they throw a heavy punch and you simply step out of the way and let them hit empty air, they lose their balance. When you say, "You're right," there is suddenly nowhere left for the argument to go. You have given them absolutely nothing to push against, leaving them utterly paralyzed, confused, and entirely powerless. You aren't actually accepting their toxic words as the truth. Instead, you are showing them that their opinion of you is so completely worthless and irrelevant to your life that you won't even waste a single calorie of energy trying to correct them. 6. Keep your cards hidden. The absolute second you try to explain yourself, justify your actions, or rationalize with a narcissist, you have already lost the battle. It is a natural human instinct to want to defend your name, clarify your intentions, or use logic to solve a misunderstanding. But you must understand that a narcissist does not operate on human logic, and they do not care about the truth. They do not enter a conversation to achieve mutual understanding or resolve a conflict. They enter it to gather ammunition. When you open up and explain your why, sharing your reasons, your deep feelings, or your side of the story, you are not fixing the problem. Instead, you are handing a ruthless manipulator a detailed blueprint of your mind. You are showing them exactly what matters to you, what hurts you, and how your brain works, which they will immediately file away to weaponize against you in the very next argument. If you want to protect your power, you must stop over-explaining yourself immediately. The more details, excuses, or explanations you feed into the conversation, the weaker and more exposed your position becomes. Every word you speak gives them a new hook to twist, a new phrase to misinterpret, and a fresh opportunity to drag you down into an endless, circular debate that leaves you mentally exhausted. When a narcissist attacks your choices, demands to know your plans, or questions your motives, do not lay your cards face up on the table. You owe them absolutely zero explanations for how you live your life. Keep your thoughts, your strategies, and your private emotions completely hidden behind a locked door. Instead of shouting or debating, learn to let your absolute silence do the heavy lifting. When they demand answers to bait you into drama, give them nothing but an indifferent stare or a completely blank look. Silence is deeply unsettling to a narcissist because they cannot twist what you do not say, leaving them screaming into a void with absolutely no control over you. 7. Deconstruct their projections. To truly master the psychological game against a narcissist, you have to learn how to look past their loud, aggressive exterior and see them for what they actually are. Beneath the massive, arrogant ego, the flashy behavior, and the self-righteous attitude, every single narcissist is a deeply fragile, terrified, and insecure individual. They have an incredibly weak sense of self-worth, but because their ego cannot handle the pain of facing their own massive flaws, failures, and toxic traits, their brain uses a primitive defense mechanism called projection. Projection is when someone takes all of their own darkest insecurities, hidden weaknesses, and bad behaviors and mentally throws them onto you. They literally try to convince you, and everyone else around you, that you are the one who is unstable, dishonest, selfish, or crazy, simply so they don't have to admit those traits exist inside themselves. The next time a narcissist launches a vicious emotional attack against you, you need to hit the mental pause button and completely change how you process their words. Do not let their insults touch your self-esteem. Instead, look at the attack objectively, as if you are a scientist analyzing a specimen. When you pull back and deconstruct what they are saying, you will realize something mind-blowing. Their insults are actually a direct, unfiltered confession of their own hidden weaknesses. If they screamingly accuse you of being a liar who cannot be trusted, they are actually revealing that they are currently hiding something deceitful. If they mock you for being a failure or being insecure, they are simply projecting the deep-seated terror they have of their own inadequacy. Once you understand this psychological reality, their venomous words completely lose their power to hurt you. You stop feeling defensive because you realize their words have absolutely nothing to do with who you are. They are just holding up a mirror of their own toxic soul. And instead of taking the hit, you can simply step aside and watch them unravel under the weight of their own self-confessions. 8. Maintain absolute calm. A narcissist wants control over you, and the primary way they secure that control is by intentionally triggering your emotional distress. They are like emotional vampires who feed on your agitation, your confusion, and your outrage. To make this happen, they will use highly unfair tactics. They will accuse you of being angry when you are perfectly relaxed, or they will blame you for something completely ridiculous that you had absolutely nothing to do with. They do this completely on purpose to knock you off balance and pull you down into the mud with them. If you let yourself snap, if you raise your voice, defend yourself aggressively, or start crying, you are handing them exactly what they want. You are proving to them that they possess the remote control to your emotions. But you can completely shatter their entire strategy by refusing to give them even a microscopic hint of emotional satisfaction. The next time they launch a ridiculous accusation or try to spark an explosive argument, make a conscious decision to anchor yourself in place. Do not raise your voice, do not change your posture, and do not let your facial expressions slip. Instead, respond with absolute icy calm. Speak in a slow, measured, completely flat tone of voice, as if you are reading the terms and conditions of a software update. If they scream that you are ruining their life, look at them calmly and say, "I hear you." When you refuse to react emotionally, you completely undermine and paralyze their attempt to hurt you. It is the psychological equivalent of throwing a lit match into an empty concrete room. With no emotional fuel from your end to keep it burning, their toxic fire simply chokes out and dies. You leave them looking completely foolish, screaming at a brick wall that refuses to crack. 9. Disengage from the drama. Narcissists are absolute masters at playing the victim, and they love nothing more than weaponizing your natural empathy and sympathy against you. They are constantly creating artificial crises, spinning exaggerated sob stories, and fabricating massive personal tragedies where everyone is out to get them. They do this because they are totally addicted to attention, and to a narcissist, any attention, even negative attention, pity, or frustration, is a massive win. They want you to drop everything you are doing, rush to their defense, try to fix their problems, or feel immense guilt for things you didn't even do. The moment you step into their chaotic storyline to offer comfort or point out their lies, you have wandered straight into their trap and handed them your valuable energy. If you want to outsmart them, you have to stop buying into their manufactured soap operas immediately. You must recognize that their emergencies are completely fake dramas designed to steal your focus and keep you emotionally dependent on them. The exact second they start spinning a new dramatic storyline or trying to drag you into a chaotic debate, you need to consciously and cleanly disengage. Do not argue with their version of reality. Do not try to correct their facts, and do not offer sympathy for a problem they actively created themselves. Simply walk away from the conversation. Close the laptop, put your phone on silent, or physically leave the room. Pivot your attention instantly toward your own life, your goals, and your peace of mind. By focusing your mental energy elsewhere, you starve the narcissist of the emotional oxygen they need to survive, leaving them completely stranded with no audience to applaud their performance. 10. Refuse to play the game. To truly free yourself from a narcissist, you must accept a hard, unfiltered truth. They fundamentally lack empathy, and they do not view relationships the way normal people do. Where you see love, connection, and mutual support, a narcissist sees a high-stakes game of chess. Every conversation, every favor, and every argument is just a calculated move designed to trap you, checkmate your self-esteem, and ensure that they win at all costs. They do not care about fairness. They do not care about the truth, and they absolutely do not care about your well-being. If you stay on that board trying to explain your feelings, negotiate terms, or hope that they will finally understand the pain they are causing you, you are playing a game that was rigged against you before it even started. You cannot fix a narcissist. You cannot love them into changing, and you cannot make them suddenly develop a conscience. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that if you just phrase your arguments better or show them more kindness, they will finally see the light. They won't. The only definitive way to win a completely rigged game is to refuse to play it at all. You must step off the board entirely. Stop trying to counter their moves. Stop trying to defend your pieces, and completely remove yourself from the equation. When you drop your hands, walk away from the table, and show them that you no longer care about the outcome of their sick psychological competition, their entire strategy collapses. By taking yourself out of the game, you strip away every single shred of power they thought they had over you, leaving them playing against an empty chair. 11. Listen to your body, reclaiming your physical peace. Narcissistic abuse is not just a mental battle. It leaves a physical blueprint of trauma deep inside your physical body. When you are constantly dealing with a master manipulator, your nervous system is forced into a permanent state of high alert. Over time, this constant psychological warfare manifests as physical symptoms, showing up as tight shoulders, chronic exhaustion, digestive issues, a racing heart, and sudden, intense anxiety attacks. Your body is incredibly smart, and it will often recognize the danger of a toxic person long before your logical mind is ready to admit it. Those sudden feelings of dread, stomach knots, or severe stress triggers whenever their name pops up on your phone are direct warning signals from your nervous system telling you that your boundaries are being heavily violated. You need to stop ignoring these physical signs and start paying close attention to what your body is trying to tell you. When a narcissist is actively trying to throw you into chaos, your best line of defense is to ground yourself in reality. Use immediate nervous system regulation tools like deep, slow breathing, mindfulness meditation, and mental visualization techniques to bring your body back down from a state of panic. When you actively lower your cortisol levels and deliberately calm your heart rate, you regain total control over your cognitive mind. A narcissist relies on your panic to confuse and control you. By learning to heal your physical body and maintain a calm, level-minded presence, you transform yourself into a target that is completely impossible to manipulate. If you or someone you care about is currently navigating the heavy, confusing reality of narcissistic abuse, please remember that you do not have to carry this heavy burden all by yourself. Isolation is exactly what the manipulator wants, so fight back by reaching out to a professional therapist, a counselor, or a deeply trusted friend who can offer you real validation and support. If this video brought you a sense of clarity, helped you see through the fog, and gave you the strength to stand your ground, please take a brief second to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who desperately needs to hear it today. Don't forget to click that notification bell icon so you are always updated the exact second a new video drops. Thank you so much for watching. Keep protecting your peace, and we will see you in the very next video.